Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I was going to talk a little bit about public speaking, which seems to be a thing. It's a big portion of what I'm covering on this channel, and I keep mentioning it. So I want to go into more in depth on the public speaking and how to, at least what I'm doing to help myself overcome my fear of public speaking, and also, uh, yeah, what I've done in the past and what I'm doing moving forward. So in the past, something that I've done is I took a workshop. I've mentioned this in one of my previous videos. It was this 3-day workshop, and it was all about giving presentations and speaking uh, in a video meeting, virtual meeting. And one of the most important things I learned there was to just slow yourself down. 'Cause when you get really nervous, that's when you just start running through whatever it is you have to talk about super, super fast. And it's difficult for your audience to keep up with you. And then also, you can get lost in your thoughts, which is something that still happens to me. But I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it. Also, one of the things that we went over was the having a short prep time. And someone like me who really likes to plan things out and make sure I'm ready for something, having an hour or 30 minutes to prepare a PowerPoint or be able to speak on something and sound knowledgeable about it that I have never done before or like talked about that I'm not very knowledgeable on. That's hard, very hard. It's something that I would like to have more practice in because I know that my skill level just isn't quite there yet. Um, Another thing that's super helpful, especially when you're doing like a virtual meeting, would be to they recommended to put a picture of either yourself or a family member right underneath your camera. And I tried that, and it didn't work. I don't know why, but it almost made it harder. And so what I did was I just took a little bit of a Post-it note and I put a smiley face on it, and then put that right underneath my camera, and it helped a lot. I'm not sure why that it took that, but yeah. Also, one of the things they recommended was to get yourself a half decent webcam. One and also have good lighting. Something I used to not really care about was quality of the webcam and also the lighting. As my thought was, well, I'm not streaming, so if I'm just in a work meeting, who cares? But watching other people in meetings, it was there seemed just like a whole different tone, even if it was the same person. If they had decent lighting and a decent camera versus them not having decent lighting and not a decent camera. Huge impact. Yeah, it was a huge impact on how they are perceived professionally, which is weird, but product presentation, I guess. That's something I learned as a manager at a food restaurant. It's something like 80, maybe I'm wrong. It's like 80% of the reason why you buy something is because of how it looks. So, and that's the thing with like fear and anxiety that I covered in my last video is that like you want to be able to present yourself in your best, as your best self. And so when you feel like you can't do that, that's where you kind of really start getting that anxiety, the sweaty palms, and might maybe even start shaking a little bit. I know I do. When I was younger, I used to just for church. There were quite a few times where I would stand up in front of everybody, and I'd share something, and that was looking back on that, it was surprising how natural it was for me, and that now if I to try and do that, it just like totally freaks me out. Even in front of that's a group of like 130 people, whereas me now just in a group of 5 people, it's kind of like I've gotten better for sure, but anyway, I think another thing with public speaking, something that I did and this is just me, but when I'm going over like a PowerPoint or something, not to just read it in my head, but also like speak it, which I know that's kind of what you're recommended to do, but for me, I had never really practiced a presentation where I'm speaking. Well, I've never practiced speaking during my practice of giving the presentation, which I know is weird. It seems, like, oh, why wouldn't I do that? But you know, anyway, um, another thing that I would say helps with public speaking is just being able to speak. Uh, which I know that might sound strange, but it's also something I'm working on. Medication that I've taken in the past has affected my speech, and it's something that I've had now that I'm not on that particular medication. I'm on a different medication. It's something that I've had to like coach myself. I've actually thought about going to a speech, not like speech therapist, I guess sort of, but it'd be like a coach, and just how to consciously and then slowly subconsciously be able to speak a certain way. Um, I know there's a lot of courses out there and workshops I could go to, and I would say a big thing too, also in becoming better at public speaking, the first step is going to be realizing that you have a problem with it, and then also being willing to go out and get help, and know that. I mean, even for me, sometimes still, it's difficult to go out and ask for help. Not necessarily because of our pride, but it's the be we don't like to expose our vulnerable self, I guess would be an okay way to put it. Um, I just want to give another example of some public speaking that I've had. It's not necessarily in like a professional setting or more formal setting. It's just like out to dinner with friends. Uh, Being able to speak about my thoughts and feelings in front of other people, in not like a, oh man, I'm going through this in my life kind of thing, just general talk. Uh, I guess I'm not quite sure how to define that. Me being a socially awkward person, it's talking more than just about the weather and sports or work. Talking about things with substance. That was something that I still sort of struggle with. Definitely a one-on-one is super easy. Maybe me and two other people. But more than that, it's kind of like, oh gosh, what's this? Are they gonna think I'm crazy? Because I have had experiences where someone asks me my genuine opinion on something, and then later on, I find out that the group of people that I was with, they have this very negative opinion of me because of this opinion that I was requested to express. And no, I'm not talking about, whatever. It's just it mainly like tech related stuff. Uh, I kind of I want to avoid getting into political stuff, so that's not what this is about. I will say that knowing your audience is also very critical. Uh, for example, when I was giving these meetings and I was inviting people, and then other people would invite someone else, so like 10 minutes before the meeting, I would go through the list of whoever's invited and know who I'm talking to, and it would change the tone. So like whether that person's a architect or they're a director or maybe they're just regular engineers and analysts. Like those are different types of moods, I guess. Just the way that you talk to them is going to be different. Which some people have come at me and said that, oh, you should just talk to so and so like they're a regular person. And it's like, well, maybe I've tried that in the past and it doesn't work out so well. Which again might just be fear and anxiety, might just be all up in my head. But I think there's definitely different ways to talk to different people. Something that is related to this topic is just communication in general. It was once said to me that if you're trying to explain something to someone and you explain it once and they don't understand, you explain it twice, they don't understand, you explain it 3 times, they don't understand, that you are the one with the problem and that you're not communicating well enough. And I highly disagree with that. I think that it's kind of a 60-40 where, you know, you can give your the 60% of someone absorbing information is going to be their willingness to absorb that information. And so if I'm communicating with them in several different ways, like whether I have to make a picture or I just have to explain it in a less technical way, or I need to explain it in a more technical way for them to be able to understand it, and they still don't get it, then I can I can ask them directly, what is it that I can do to help you understand this better? Which might sound kind of condescending, but I guess another way would be to just say, does that make sense? Uh, that was one thing that the workshop I went to for public speaking, speaking in the virtual meeting kind of setting, was when you say something and you're not sure if other people really got it, to ask, does that make sense? And then give it like a 2, 3 second pause and then say, okay, I'll move on to the next thing. And so that really helped me have some of these meetings I had where I was explaining this very complex system that I was the people called me the expert on, but I felt like I knew hardly anything about it, which is kind of funny looking back. So then it puts it on the listener and the person who's absorbing the information to uh, for them to be the one who understands it, so that if later on this person says, "Oh, well, I didn't understand it," and then I would come back with, "Well, I asked, and you said that you seem, nobody said anything." So I took that as everybody understood it. Something else that I've also struggled with in the past, I know this might not be a thing for everybody, but also it is kind of related to what I had mentioned earlier about like the speech coach kind of thing is, if you have like a stutter or if you have you think your voice sounds weird, don't let that hold you back. There's this one podcast that I listen to. It's Isaac Arthur. I haven't listened to him in a while, but he's very big on futurism and stuff like that. And his lisp has gotten better. Speech, it's not really a lisp either. It's just he has a speech impediment. Um, is really good. If you're into futurism stuff, I recommend Isaac Arthur. Spelled exactly how it sounds. He he has a bit of a speech impediment, but the content that he has is super interesting, and so it's easy to look past. I know that sounds bad. It's easy to look past that speech impediment because the information that he's giving is super interesting. And also, I'm not really a judgy person. I would say I have my little bit of judgment that I hand out. But overall, I would say I'm a very understanding person. Uh, but the speech impediment, it's not really an issue. I can understand what he's saying, and the content is good. The substance of what he's saying is good. So if you have a speech impediment or you think your voice sounds funny, like most people just aren't going to care. And that was something that took me a little bit to get over because I think my voice sounds weird. And I've been told that I have a sexy voice. I've been told that I have a big scary man voice. I've been told that I have a little girl voice. And this is all since I've been like 25. And so it's kind of weird to just gauge how I sound to people. And I finally just gave up. And like, I'm just going to talk how I talk and feel to, I'll improve what I think should be improved. And I'll go from there. I think something else that's really important for public speaking is just be able to feel comfortable being yourself. I've sort of beat around the bush about that in this video, but being comfortable with who you are and your thoughts and your ideas, that's going to be very important. And there is the whole, oh, don't care about what other people think. You kind of have to sometimes. Overall, I think that public speaking isn't necessarily something that we should be afraid of, and that it's a great skill to have. Whether you're going for a job interview, you're giving a meeting, you're hosting an event, public speaking to any degree is incredibly important, and it's always going to be scary. For example, like if I was to have a stream or something, I do this live instead of recorded. That's going to be kind of scary for me, but I think it would be a good skill to have as I try and develop my business more. And meeting with people that have more money than me and people that are going to be very critical of me and the way that I do things. Um, I think that learning to take criticism is incredibly important and to take it with a grain of salt whenever someone says something very harsh. There's constructive criticism, and then there's just complete, you know, people hating on you. And you can't listen to the haters. You have to seek out that constructive criticism. And sometimes that's going to be asking people that they're just going to tell you what you want to hear. And you need to approach those people and say, hey, this is something that is incredibly important to me. And I need honest feedback on this. Don't want you to sugarcoat it. And I personally am someone who does not like receiving sugar-coated information. I would rather receive it exactly how it is. I think a big part of public speaking is also going to be having confidence. If you don't have and confidence and knowledge, if you don't have confidence and knowledge of any kind to what it is that you're speaking about, that you're going to have a very difficult time with public speaking. At least I have. And again, for like a lot of this, it's not a how-to. It's just me sharing experiences, what's worked for me, and maybe it'll work for you. I hope that maybe you were able to find something useful from this video. It's definitely shorter than what I'm used to. I'm used to going on for like an hour, hour and a half, and then just cutting out stuff that didn't necessarily need to be there. But and let me know what you think about these shorter videos. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear it. Whether you hate it or you like it, I want to know. So if you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. Also, drop a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Link to my Patreon is in the description, and I would be forever grateful if you supported me there.